We must not do that, my friends. We have to stand united. We have to stay informed. And we must be active to stop the Russian terrorist regime. Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Help Ukraine protect peace.
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 My friends, what's going on in Ukraine right now has happened in the past. It has happened not so long ago in Georgia, when the Georgian people were invaded by the Russian terrorist regime, and they lost 20% of their territory. There are still Russian troops in Georgia right now, and we have not forgotten what the Georgian people have gone through. The Ukrainian people are going through a very similar situation, but even worse, we could say, because the terrorist Russian regime is using every single weapon at their disposal to make sure they kill as many people as possible. And they scare the Ukrainian people into submitting, and they scare the Ukrainian people into relenting. But we must not do that, my friends. We have to spread the message of the people of Ukraine who are fighting not only for their own lives, not only for freedom of Ukraine, but also for freedom in Europe and the whole world, who are fighting for a better future, a future of nuclear demilitarization and not nuclear saber rattling, a future of peace and trade, a future of promises kept and not violated, like the Russian regime has done so many times in the past. And let's not forget about every single one of those violations of the many facts recognized internationally that the terrorist Russian regime has not cared about. The terrorist Russian regime does not care whether they have a good reputation or a bad reputation. They don't have any reputation to lose. The only thing that they care for is the maintenance of the ones who are in power in Russia and the enrichment of those Russian elites who are the backbone of this invasion of Ukraine, my friend. Just like Prigozhin has said so many times in the past, every single reason, every single objective that the Russians wanted to accomplish by invading Ukraine ended up in the exact opposite happened. Prigozhin said that they've been fighting the Ukrainians for years, and they still could not find these imaginary Nazis that Putin was talking about. I guess Prigozhin did not look too far inwards into the Wagner group, because if he had, he would realize it. But who are we kidding? Prigozhin always knew what he was getting himself into. He deserves no sympathy from us, but his death should serve as a message to anybody in the world. Because if one of Putin's closest allies is so easily betrayed and killed by Putin, then what can we say about the enemies who might want to negotiate? What can we say about us, people who have resisted his genocidal war, his authoritarian regime for so long? What can we say for the West, who has been portrayed by the terrorist Russian regime as the worst entity in the world? It's interesting that people flee Russia and countries similar to Russia, that people try to get into these Western countries that Putin so much hates. That, my friends, is because these are good places to live in. And Russia is not. Russia is a terrorist state. a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Help Ukraine protect peace.
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 It can be said that we can tell what a person is and how they behave by looking at their friends. If that is true, then Russia is perhaps one of the worst countries on this planet right now. Probably the worst. Because the friends that Russia associates with are some of the other worst countries to be living in on this whole planet. Countries that people try their best to escape. Countries that persecute and annihilate anybody who disagrees with the way that their authoritarian regimes decide to rule their people. With an iron fist and a whip, continuously lashing their backs. This kind of modern slavery is not something that we want for our future, my friends. We want a better future than the one we live through right now. Not the future that Russia envisions. And what else could we expect from a genocidal leader who shills and defends the genocidal Soviet Union, who says that the collapse of the Soviet Union, according to Putin, was the biggest catastrophe of the 20th century? Who can say that and get away with it? Who can speak out such atrocity? Could the German Chancellor sympathize with the Nazis and get away with it? No, he could not. They would never even try to do this, because they know it would never work. But in Russia, sympathizing and shilling for genocidal regimes is just how they do things. That is how they see the world. They want to return to the genocidal Soviet Union, who did not shy away from exterminating millions to achieve the objectives of a few dozens of the Russian, or in those days Soviet elites, who decided it would be for the best